everybody to another episode of Live Today Health Talk. So thank you so much for joining me today. And with the ice out there, I guess it's trying to give me some hiccups with my connection here. So that's all right though. I got a lot of information to share with you guys and then get into the lesson. So our lesson or our topic for today is going to be on minerals and nutrients the body needs to be healthy. I don't know if you all remember, like I think 2 weeks ago, I had Dr. Lou Stevens join me and we talked about 5 things that our body needs. And one of those things we talked about was with our nutrients, with our minerals. So I'm going to try to dive into that, but I'm going to also share a little bit on some politics, not what you think, but some politics. Then we've got a dynamic play that I've been sharing with you guys. And so the first one was at 4, and I'm looking to catch the one at 8, So let me stop. I'm already going into the program. Let me do what I'm supposed to do first, and that is give our prayer and then give our prayer and then our scripture, and then we'll be on to our topic. All right. So most gracious and heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for clearing the airways, whatever the hiccups were, technology. I'm blessed to have this platform, and I'm always so blessed to continue on the streaming, broadcasting, inspirational network, the place where I need to be. Father, you have so many other worldly platforms out there, but you allowed a sister to share with me and to lead me to the inspirational network. So, Father, if it is as it is for me to glean, to grow, and just continue on to learn more on broadcasting and just to stretch out and invite more people to talk on your health message. So, Father, there's so many ways in which a health message can go. Father, we cover our health, our nutrition, our wellness, our finances. There's so many things that can have to do with our body. And that's what we just love, that our body, the science to which you created us. You are the creator. And it's just so awesome. It's just so magnificent. So I just want to thank you for creating us, the human being. When we talk about the different races, there's one race, and that is the human race, the race in which you created, to which you blew air into our nostrils, well, Adam's nostril, and so that we could have life. And so that we can have life more abundantly. So, Father, before I close out this prayer, I want to ask that you keep the Price family lifted, as I understand that we've lost one of your shepherds, one of your great shepherds, Apostle Frederick K.C. Price. So I know that somewhere out there, people are devastated, but I just pray that he's with you, that he has his wings, as some like to say, but that he will be with you in rapture and we will see his spirit again one day. But just keep the family lifted so that they do not grow weary or be in despair, so that they can continue on with his legacy, if it shall be your will and not man's will. So in Jesus' name I pray and I thank you. Amen. All righty. So our scripture for today will be coming from, and look, drum roll, because my phone locked on me. Romans, the book of Romans, King James Version, 12, verse 10. So how quaint that's right. Happy Valentine's Day, right? I have on my red for it's also Healthy Heart Month. All right. So you guys come back next week and I'm going to share more on healthy hearts and wear your red. Okay. So I'm giving you a heads up. Come back next week and wear your red. But for today, our scripture is be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another. We got to be kind to each other. And in my prayer, that's why I said it's one race, and that is the human race. And we have to learn to be kind, because I don't know. I don't keep up with Apostle Price. I don't know if he was ill or not. But, we are losing our loved ones due to age. I mean, a lot of our icons are leaving us because of age, not so necessary because of COVID, but at any rate, love them. Wow, love each other while we're here. Give me my flowers now. Don't worry about buying a whole bunch of flowers, spending hundreds of dollars for flowers for a casket, and the flowers are just gonna wither and go dead, right? So don't do it. Give me my flowers now so I can enjoy them. All righty. So look, I mentioned a play for tonight. So for those of you that have seen on my Facebook page, I have been sharing for the so my church, Azusa International Foursquare Gospel Church, we actually went to this play last year and it was just great. It's a gospel play, right? But it is by none other than the Princess, wait a minute, look, gotta take my glasses off so I can see the name. Looking over the glasses. Poetic Princess Productions proudly presents, and the second show starts at 8 tonight, Married, Single, and Everything in Between. So it is a romantic gospel musical hit. And I don't know what, well, I know they had to make changes because guess what? COVID. So the stage play is is online. It's going to be streaming. So I know and I'm sure some of the cast, when I looked at the reviews, the cast has changed. So some of the play has changed too. But at any rate, I'm looking forward to having my dinner and watching my live play tonight. So the tickets are $25 if you have a group of 10. So we got up to 6. We couldn't quite get a group. So if four more people wish to buy tickets, then that means the ticket's only $20 for a group of 10, right? And hey, you buy the tickets. I don't know how many people you're gonna have joining you for the play, but let's help the production make their money. All right, help them for them giving us this gift that they're going to be sharing with us today. And if anybody saw or is present for the play at 4:00, then chime in the comments and let us know how you enjoyed it. All right, moving on. My little bit of politics that I'm going to share, and it is not about the acquittal. Okay, yeah, I had to put it out there. It's not about the acquittal. I know some are happy, some are mad, some are stark raving mad, and some are just, so I'm not even going to get into that. All right, what I want to share is an opinion from my acquaintance, I'll say friend, acquaintance, Michael D. Brown, Senator Brown for DC, okay? And he wrote an Inforum in February, and he also has a talk show, and we've been guests on his talk show, and I cannot remember the name of it right now, so please forgive me. But at any rate, last week, the Senate State Affairs Committee voted to support a resolution asking its congressional delegation to continue to deny equal rights to the 712,000 citizens of our nation's capital by opposing DC statehood. They got struck down again, guys. What is it going to take? I mean, we all know DC, and we all know that it's been the nation's capital for how long? So what is it that they have to do to get statehood? And then sometimes I wonder, do they really want it? Because I've heard with some of the studies that I've done, that they will lose some of their benefits if they become a state. But at any rate, this article here that he wrote, it's like for the reason that they gave for not becoming a state, it's not quite setting well with me. So let me continue to read his note. So South Dakota's State Senate Committee opposed to DC statehood says the city is too small. I don't know what it takes, because he goes on to argue, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said South Dakota. I'm not sure what that SD stands for, but I think it's South Dakota only because, let me finish reading it and you'll see. So this was in an Inforum by Christopher Vonderick in January 25 of this year, right? In a ridiculous statement, Majority Whip Jim Bolin said DC was too small to be a state. Bolin and his Republican colleagues need a civics lesson. Again, Tiffany didn't write this, all right? So don't take it personal. Representation has nothing to do with land area. Lesson, hint, hint. Alaska only gets 2 senators, even though it's 8.5 times larger than South Dakota. That's why I thought SD meant South Dakota. So I could be wrong, all right? But he also suggested the founding fathers wanted to disenfranchise Washington. Not true. They wanted to protect themselves from insurrection by controlling the capital And we've just seen how well that worked out. Going back to January 6th. Okay, all right, now focus. Take it off of there. We went there, now come back, all right? So adding insult to injury, Representative Dusty Johnson, Republican, South Dakota. See how that SD keeps coming up? All right, wants to merge the district with Maryland. However, DC was founded when South Dakota was part of the Louisiana Territory. So that makes no more sense than South Dakota retroceding to Louisiana. In addition, Johnson states we should do what's in the best interest of the nation as a whole. As the Constitution points out, forming a more perfect union is in everyone's interest. Yes, it's simple. We are the only democracy that disenfranchises its capital. Think about that, okay? We elect Democrats, so it's about partisanship or the belief that granting rights to others somehow diminishes them for you. As Mark Twain said, you're never wrong to do the right thing. And for people who pay taxes and have died on the battlefield for our democracy for 200 years, and in some cases I could say over 400, but don't throw eggs at me. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though. When we talk about that triangle down there for which our government sits on, right? And who built it and the bloodshed and the battlefields and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, democracy for 200 years, the right thing is swallow, deep swallow, equality through statehood. Again, that was Michael D. Brown, and he's been the junior United States Senator for the District of Columbia since 2007. I think they call him what was his nickname? The dark, I have to get it right before I put it out there. All right, so moving on to some good news. Now, I know you all, this is a small victory. You know how you have small victories, right? So you've heard me say that we have been going back and forth with the different organizations, entities within our statehood or our community representation for the state of Maryland, trying to figure out ways for COVID testing to get to our homebound and our homeless, and to make sure that we have proper record keeping for the testing before they even ventured off into the vaccine, right? So as we were doing this and looking at the statistics, it started coming to us more and more that our homebound, to include our nursing homes, were being looked over. I don't want to say mistreated, but looked over, okay? Because the residents could not call their loved ones. They didn't have telephones. They were dying at numbers, great numbers, and their loved ones did not know, couldn't keep in contact with them. They were infecting the areas, so the areas weren't being contaminated. They weren't being quarantined properly. They didn't have proper protective equipment. Need I go on? Right? I don't want to keep going on. But at any rate, small victory. Let me share with you what has taken place in Southern Maryland. Charlotte Hall Veterans Home, our only veterans residency for the military in Maryland. Okay. Charlotte Hall Veterans Home receives important donation. Charlotte Hall has received a specialized PPE sterilization unit that was custom built by Southern Maryland entrepreneurs and manufacturers and donated by the St. Mary's County Health Department, which utilized CARES funding. So we see some of that funding is going to good use, you guys. So this unit is a modular hot box unit, which functions as a dry heat oven that can heat and sterilize 24,000 masks per day. So now if they have a shortage, they can put them in this sanitizing unit, right? You getting it? And they can reuse them when we can't get the proper PPE to them. The sterilization process takes 1 hour and can be used for clothing. So that means all the staff's protective wear, right? mattresses and gowns. This can be used now for hospitals too. You get that? Small victories, not just the nursing home. The value of the unit is $150,000. Now, let me share with you the victory of how this came about. People hear you and prayers get answered. So, the Southern Maryland entrepreneurs and manufacturers team up to build a new dry heat oven to help healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. The founders of two companies. So Tommy, and please Tommy, forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Okay, Luganbill is the director of Techport, a UAS business incubator and community innovation hub located in St. Mary's County Airport Innovation District. Matt Hayes is the owner and founder of the Unmanned Propulsion. Oh, goodness. Now, I thought I had this word. I guess I need to slow down, right? Propulsion, thank you, slow down. Propulsion Development, a manufacturer of hybrid power systems of unmanned aircraft headquartered within Techport, both companies of Southern Maryland, okay? In March, after the pandemic shut down the majority of their operations, right? So they were sitting there twiddling their thumbs and losing money at the same time. Luganbill, Hayes, and a few of their Techport colleagues put their heads together to try to come up with a way to help during the crises. They're sitting there, they're losing money, they can't get customers in, and they thought about, through the kindness of their hearts, how they could do something that would be beneficial. Now, not saying that it wouldn't be financially beneficial also, but as you hear me, this took some money to get this invention, their ingenuity going and crafted and passed. So let me continue reading real fast now because I got a whole lot to share with you. All right. There were just a few of us left in the large empty Techport building, which gave us a safe workspace to start designing and prototyping products to support people during the pandemic. We started out making masks and face shields, but the demand, you saw me in my face shield last week, right? But the demand for PPE was so high, it was just impossible to keep up. Then we realized what healthcare facilities really needed was a method to clean and reuse the PPE they already had. They heard our cries. They heard our cries. Because I will tell you, the PPE was being divvied out. It was not that the workers could get it every time they walked in the building. They were going in, our first responders, yes, they were going in, and some of them did not have PPE during their shifts to protect themselves, much less to protect the residents. All right, keep going. After experimenting with different methods, including UV lights, which wasn't practical because the light bulbs were expensive and hard to obtain, and hydrogen peroxide, which was too energy intensive to make and too hazardous to use safely, Hayes came up with the idea to build a giant oven that would clean PPE by simply baking it with dry heat. All right. The idea grew from concept to reality in record time. To get the prototype of the oven developed, Hayes established a nonprofit, right? Now going into a new business line, Southern Maryland Loves You. That's the name of the new profit, and began reaching out to local manufacturers for potential partners. Then they can stand some money if you guys can donate. All right. When they approached the Titron Defense, who specializes in building electromagnetic and high altitude electromagnetic pulse hemp, something we discussed while Dr. Lou was with us, Dr. Stevens was with us, protection modules that were similar in concept to the oven Hayes had designed, they quickly jumped in to help. So now they have partners with their new nonprofit. Anyway, with the hot box built, the team now needed a partner to test it and ensure it indeed was effective in cleaning the PPE for repeated use. So it definitely had to kill off the microbombs and microbans and any other the germs or organisms, and they had to test it and get it approved. So after 8 months of testing, and I'm skipping a little bit, okay? After 8 months of testing and submitting data in November, Southern Maryland Loves You team achieved a significant milestone. The FDA published new guidelines on using dry heat to support single-user reuse of the N95 mask and verified the semi-automatic heat bioburden reduction module falls within those guidelines and has a tier 3 rating in the bioburden reduction module category. The announcement officially allows staff at the University of Maryland in Charles Regional Medical Center to reuse their N95 masks. Y'all get that? So if y'all have those N95 masks, right, after being treated in the hot box, and allowed Hayes and Luganville to begin offering their device. So finally, like I said earlier, it has the capability of clearing 24,000 masks, and it has a dramatic impact on the hospital's ability to fill its PPE needs to protect our staff and the residents or the patients within the hospital's most recent surge of COVID-19 patients. So you guys give them a hand for that great invention that they did in a miraculous amount of time with a great turnaround, and it has made a magnitude of difference for our first responders, because now they know not only can they be protected, but the residents or the hospital, the patients can be protected also. All right, now I am going to switch gears to our topic for the evening. I know it took a whole 30 minutes to get all that out, right? But I'm just so happy because that's a small victory, all right? Remember, small victories make gigantic steps, because you look back and you realize how far you've been carried on each one of those small victories, and pretty soon you are victorious in accomplishing the mission that you started out with. So again, our mission was to get testing for our homebound and homeless. Now, that was one phase of our mission. Now we have a way to make sure that our homebound are protected while they're inside, because now they can have the protective equipment that they need. Save some lives. That's always a joy, right? Okay, so minerals and nutrients that our body needs. So if I may have our first video, and this is one of my favorite, one of the doctors that actually started teaching me about the minerals that we needed as I went and stepped into this health message. I mean, to the science of it all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wallet, no stranger to many of us.
The thing we learned in the animal industry over 100 years ago, that to maximize the longevity, maximize the genetic potential for production of milk and meat and eggs, to maximize health, we had to eliminate disease because we don't have health insurance for animals. If we used a human healthcare system for animals, it'd be sticker shock for most people. A dozen eggs would be $250, and a pound of hamburger would be $700 just to pay for the healthcare. So we learned a long time ago in the animal industry that we could prevent birth defects, we could prevent infertility, we could maximize longevity and health and fending off disease by giving all the known essential nutrients to animal based on body weight. And we learned 100 years ago that there's 16 minerals required, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids, and that's the 90. And you cannot depend on it from being in your food, because nutritional minerals, which make up 2/3 of the 90 essential nutrients, 60 out of the 90 are minerals, do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like chocolate and chocolate ice cream, and some places have 10, some places have 15, some places have 20, some places have 40. Plants only need 3 to maximize their benefit and make good seeds for the next generation. Human beings and all other vertebrates, whether you're a hummingbird or a crocodile or an elephant, require 60 minerals. And so the only way you can guarantee that and actually prevent an enormous amount of unnecessary misery and cost is to consciously supplement with all 90 essential nutrients. It just seems so simple. You just guarantee it. And whatever you get from your food is a benefit added, is an add-on. But you can't depend what is or is not in the food. And we've learned that in the animal industry, and why not treat humans as well as we do animals?
So Dr. Wallach is the CEO and founder. Well, he's no longer the CEO, but he's the founder of Youngevity. And for those of you that may not have been able to understand what he was talking about when he was talking about the minerals. So as Dr. Stevens and I were speaking around during when she visited me, what was that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago on the show, that our body needs its nutrients through minerals. And in order for the minerals serve our bodies at the cellular level. But if we cannot absorb the nutrients through our food now, then a lot of times we're eating or taking supplements for no reason at all because it's not getting in. It's not getting in. So minerals are responsible for the cellular function in our body, and they're over 100 trillion cells that cannot operate properly in our bodies without the minerals. So minerals play a key role in our organs, our organ function, and there is what's called a mineral wheel. And for those of you that remember science, right? So the mineral wheel is a wheel. Let me see if any of my documents have a picture of it. You may not be able to see it very clear. But so the mineral wheel, yes, here's one, has, let me see which way do I need to hold that. The mineral wheel has, as you see, the acronyms or the abbreviations for all the minerals, right, that we need for our body's function. But the lines, look, I'm trying to do this and it's not a mirror, it's a mirror image, so it's backwards, right? But the lines within the wheel tell us which minerals have to rely on one another, okay? So if you have one and you don't have the other, then the mineral cannot do what it needs to do for our organs. So, but we also know that too much or not enough of a specific mineral can affect the counterpart. And that's what it is. And when the line is drawn, can affect the counterpart within the causing the mineral deficiency or excess to become toxic. So a lot of times when we start having dis-ease in our bodies, that's because our organ has not been able to get the proper nutrition that it needs. So a lot of times you'll hear us say absorption, or what you need for your body to absorb certain minerals. Well, so let's talk about that a little bit. All right. So Dr. Wallach prides himself on saying our body needs 90. So you heard him burning off those numbers, 90 essential nutrients. Okay. And those are for optimal health. I'm not saying this is the cutoff, but for optimal health, his regimen consists of, we need 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 2 to 3 essential fatty acids. And that is the 90 essential minerals. I'm just saying that's not the top, but it's not the bare minimum either. He's saying those are the essential ones we need. There's so many more that our body consists of, and the bad part about it is our bodies can't make it. But then what's even more sad is that our food no longer carries it. And that's why there's so many supplements out there nowadays, because we have to digest it. But let me share something with you. So how many of you are familiar with Senate document number 264 that came out by Congress, where the gentleman, there was a study, and this particular book is called The Modern Miracle Man. But in this document number 264, and you can Google this, right? Some of our health professionals went to Congress and told Congress back in, and this is dated June 5th, 1986, okay? The United States Government Printing Office in 1986 also, so presented by Mr. Fletcher, June 1st, but the calendar day was June 5th, you know what, I apologize. This is 1936, not 86, which doesn't make it any better. 1936, he went to the government and told the government, hey, our crops, our food no longer has the nutrients in it that we need to receive our minerals and from the food that we eat to live off of. And he went to them so that they could do something about it, so that they found out that our soil to which our crops grow, you know how, well, you may not know, farmers with our crops, they have to, you'll see them use one set of land, one part of the land to grow certain things, and then they have to go back and till it, and sometimes you'll see them burn off sections of it. Well, that is to allow it to rest and replenish, just like our bodies need to. So the land is supposed to have a lot of times you hear now people using volcanic ash. Well, back then, from the wood burning stoves, they used to be able to treat the land with the ash, or that's why you see them burning it sometimes with the ash. So something about the ashes within the soil, but as they till it and mix it all together, then the soil creates from that mixture the minerals. So when they plant the seeds for our vegetables in that soil, then our vegetables are able to grow in a healthy farmland or healthy soil, right? So nowadays, because the farmer's soil has been reused over and over and over so many times and not properly tilled, I guess that's the right word for it. I'm not a farmer, not a farmer, but not properly tilled, then our vegetables are no longer growing with they're no longer being fed the nutrients, right? So they're no longer growing with the proper amount of nutrients that we need for our vegetables. So now that's where it comes to our vegetables being dying off so fast. And that's where it comes to when people start making the modifications with the GMOs and things, trying to not just blend or mix the cultures, but also trying to do what they can to preserve the vegetables and the fruits longer, but they're not healthy. And I will tell you, if it doesn't have a seed in it, then beware. All right. If it doesn't have a seed, it's not natural. Okay. Because natural fruit have seeds. Okay. But back to our vegetables. Okay. So if you need to look more into this, it's entitled Modern Miracle Man, but relating to proper food mineral balances by Dr. Charles Northern, printed from a Cosmopolitan, in June 1936. But it's called document number 264, Senate document number 264. And you can Google it. It's like this particular article from the Modern Miracle Man, I think it's like 10 pages if you like to read the whole thing. However, let me get back to our minerals, okay? So our body, here's the chart also. And this is from Dr. Stevens. They share the chart with the different minerals that our bodies need to be healthy. But I want to show you the skeleton role in healthy organ functions. So this chart actually shows us, like, you have the different mineral name there and the part of the body that mineral supports, okay? And the organs. So it's pointing to the part of the body where the organ is that mineral supports. And I hope I don't get banned. I'm not trying to show any no naked person here, okay? So, but anyway, I just wanted you to see. So for zinc, for instance, because you hear everybody since COVID talking about take zinc, right? Well, and excuse me, I'm trying to talk so fast to get this information out and I'm starting to stutter. Well, anyway, zinc, brain function and alertness. That's one of the areas where zinc is. All right, let me see. Then you also have zinc, smell and taste. Okay, that's another area. Then let me see, where's another area for zinc. And so you can get an idea of why zinc is so important here. Another one for zinc, prostates and hormones. Okay, so now I guess you wonder, well, what on earth does zinc have to do? Because they say your immune system, right? So they tell you to take it for your brain function, for your hormones. Did you know the correlation between your hormones and your health, right? Do you understand that if your hormones are off balance or out of whack, then that sends between your gut and your brain different signals or bad signals causing you to eat or crave for different things. But also your hormones cause you to feel different ways, right? So if you have a hormone imbalance, that causes a lot of other disruptions within your body. But back to Dr. Wallach, and let me see what my other I have another video for you too, but let me see if I need it to come up just yet while I'm yapping. Yeah. Let me have the next video, and hopefully it'll do a better job at explaining these minerals to you, okay? So the next video. Thank you.
Welcome to Moo Moo Math and Science. In this video, I'd like to talk about 15 important minerals of the human body. A mineral is inorganic, which means it lacks carbon, helps build cells, take part in chemical reactions, sends nerve impulses, carries oxygen, and other important functions in the body. Your body cannot produce any of the minerals that it needs. Instead, you must get minerals from the foods you eat. Minerals are one of the 4 essential nutrients. The others include vitamins, essential fatty acids, and essential amino acids. Macrominerals are used in large quantities, and trace minerals are used in very small amounts. Up first is potassium. It's a macromineral. It's an electrolyte, helps with nerve impulses and muscle contraction. You can find potassium in banana, carrots, and oranges. Chlorine is a macromineral. It's needed for the production of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. You can find it in table salt. Sodium is a macromineral. It's an important electrolyte and helps with nerve impulses. You also can find it in table salt. Calcium is a macromineral. It's needed for bones, muscle, heart, and digestive system health. You can find it in dairy products, eggs, and green leafy vegetables. Phosphorus is a macromineral. It helps with bone cells, energy processing, and the DNA and the ATP. You can find it in red meat, dairy foods, fish, and poultry. Magnesium is macro. It's required for the processing ATP and for bones. You can find it in spinach, nuts, legumes, seeds, and whole grains. Iron, it's a trace mineral. It's required for many proteins and enzymes. You can find it in meat, seafood, nuts, and beans. Zinc is a trace mineral. It's required for several enzymes. You can find it in oysters and red meat. Manganese is a trace mineral. It's important in many enzyme functions, and you can find it in grains and legumes. Copper is a trace mineral. It's a required component of many enzymes. You can find it in liver and seafood. Iodine is a trace mineral. It's required for the synthesis of thyroid hormones. You can find it in grains and eggs. Chromium is a trace mineral. It's involved in glucose and lipid metabolism. You can find it in broccoli and grapes. Molybdenum is a trace mineral. It forms a crucial part of the enzyme called sulfite oxidase. You can find it in legumes and nuts. Selenium is a trace mineral, and it's an essential activity of antioxidant enzymes. You can find it in Brazil nuts, seafoods, and organ meats. And finally, cobalt is a trace mineral. It's required in the synthesis of vitamin B12, and you can find it in eggs. So there we go, 15 essential minerals that the human body needs in order to stay alive. Thanks for watching, and Moo Moo Math uploads a new math and science video every day. Please subscribe and share.
So family, in case you're wondering why I'm hopping on these minerals so much, and I should have played the video earlier, I wouldn't have had to tell you so much because I think he broke it down a lot better than since you couldn't really see my pictures, all right? But at any rate, the minerals are so important for our bodies to heal because, and I'm just going to share some of the information that Dr. Wallach has shared with us as we've been studying with him. And I know I think it's been over 7 years. So shout out to team, oh my goodness, to my Soul Purpose team Victory, right? With my two former co-hosts, Charlene and Rosa J, Charlene B and Rosa J. So yes, we were all part and studied under Dr. Wallach, one of our many instructors. But for the nutritional deficiency categories, blah, 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 blah. What's going on with my speech here? So deficiency category, hard tissues, okay? Listen. hard tissues means calcium deficiencies. That's the calcium, magnesium, and glucosamine and chondroitin. And these are just some of the diseases that can result from a deficiency of calcium. Listen, because I guarantee you it's probably something you or someone you know is dealing with under this. Let's see here. Arthritis, back pain, Bell's palsy, bone spurs, bone fractures, brittle nails, calcium deposits, cartilage damage, cognitive impairment, depression, some of that hormone. Wow. Eczema, elevated blood calcium, high and low blood pressure, hyperthyroidism, insomnia, irritability, hormones, joint pain, kidney stones, ligament damage, muscle cramps, spasms, twitches, nervousness, osteofibrosis, osteoporosis, panic attacks, PMS, prolonged clotting time, receding gums, restless legs, retarded growth, sciatica, spinal stenosis, tinnitus. So it's not tinnitus, tinnitus, tooth decay, and vertigo. And I know some of us daily, I know I have a lot, and this was one of my categories, right? Calcium deficiency. So again, that's why I'm harping on the minerals, but I'm running out of time. But I want to just share with you, the minerals are important because they're saying another wave of COVID is coming. This strand is getting worse. And then Mr. Gates is already strategizing on what we need to do to keep the next pandemic. But I want you to hear what he's saying about bringing this thing to closure. And this millionaire is doing some awesome studies. Sometimes I wonder, how is he, but at any rate, no conspiracy theories or not even any second guessing. Just listen to the next video to talk about where he thinks we need to go to end this. Minerals is a big part of it to keep us from the underlying diseases to make us so vulnerable to this pandemic. So listen up.
The world is on the brink of a great scientific achievement. A COVID-19 vaccine will likely be ready by early next year. In fact, we'll probably have more than one vaccine ready. These vaccines will allow us to save millions of lives. They'll also have another enormous benefit. They'll allow us to develop a plan for the world to globally eliminate COVID-19. To achieve this goal of global elimination, we need three things: the capacity to produce billions of vaccines, the funding to pay for them, and the systems to deliver them everywhere. The world's low and lower middle income countries are home to nearly half of the global population. Because they don't have the purchasing power of the wealthy countries, they risk not getting nearly enough doses. Unless we do better, they'll only be able to cover 14% of their people with a COVID-19 vaccine. A vaccine can make COVID-19 a preventable disease, and no one should die of a preventable disease simply because the country they live in can't afford the vaccine. But you don't even have to care about the equity view to see the problem with the rich country only scenario. Today, even wealthy countries with very low case numbers are still suffering. Australia and New Zealand have done a great job and gone long stretches with very few cases inside their borders. But their economies remain distorted because their trading partners are on lockdown. And occasionally, a carrier of the virus comes into these countries, creating new clusters of the disease. The only way to eliminate the threat of this disease somewhere is to eliminate it everywhere. The solution is not shaming the rich countries that are doing the natural thing of wanting to protect their people. The solution is to vastly increase the manufacturing capacity so we can cover everyone as soon as possible. It's been amazing to see these private companies agreeing to expand drug-making capacity by using each other's factories. We have a number of agreements like this, but we need even more, especially for the vaccine. That's why I'm thrilled today to announce a new joint agreement signed this morning by 16 pharmaceutical companies and the Gates Foundation. In this agreement, the companies commit to, among other things, scaling up manufacturing at an unprecedented speed and making sure that approved vaccines reach broad distribution as early as possible. The next component we need for global elimination is the funding to pay for those vaccines. The pharmaceutical industry has already made significant commitments in this area as well. The companies involved in the agreement are committed to using donations, foregoing profits, and using tiered pricing to make their products as affordable as possible. So another element here is that we need public funding to pay for these vaccines for all countries. And this is where the ACT Accelerator comes in. It's supported by Gavi and the Global Fund. Both organizations have spent 2 decades becoming experts in how to buy and deliver vaccines, diagnostics, and drugs to developing countries. The United Kingdom has donated enough money for the accelerator to purchase hundreds of millions of vaccine doses for poor countries. I want to thank Prime Minister Johnson and the Foreign Secretary for this amazing leadership commitment. And I want to encourage other countries to do the same. Finally, even when we have the manufacturing capacity and funding lined up, we'll need to strengthen health systems to achieve the broad coverage to deliver the vaccine and monitor for outbreaks. In doing this, we can take the lessons we've learned from the ongoing effort to eradicate polio. With the right diagnostics, health workers can also sound the alarm if a future disease jumps from bats or birds or any animal to humans. In other words, we can also be building the system that will help reduce the damage of the next pandemic. I'm confident that the world will build a plan to eliminate COVID-19, saving millions of lives and getting on a path to global recovery. Thank you.
Now, family, what I want you to make sure you pay attention to, and thank you, Mr. Gates, and all the partners that are putting all this money into the vaccine. But 3 things he mentioned. He mentioned rich and poor countries. He mentioned partnerships, and he also mentioned equity. Listen and pay attention to those 3 things, because if we put the money into the education to make our families knowledgeable of what I just told you about the minerals that you need or in your diet to keep you or prevent you from having a lot of these diseases, then your body would not be so weak to be succumbed by this pandemic, to which he is also calling now a disease. And let me allow you, before I'm about to run out of time. Last video, I think, is if it's more than 3 minutes, I know we're going to have to cut it off. But last one, he's already predicting the next one. Play the video, please.
We all want to return to the way things were before COVID-19. But there's one area where I hope we never go back: our complacency about pandemics. We can get ahead of infectious disease outbreaks. By the next pandemic, I believe we can have what I call mega testing diagnostic platforms. They can be deployed quickly, cost very little, and test 20% of the entire population every week. We also want to get treatments out far faster next time. One of the most promising is monoclonal antibodies. These manufactured antibodies grab onto the virus and disable it, just like your immune system, and can reduce death rates by as much as 80%. I also think that we'll develop new vaccines quickly, in large part due to this new mRNA platform. mRNA will become faster to develop, easier to store, and lower cost. That's a huge breakthrough. To stop future pandemics quickly, we need to be able to spot disease outbreaks as soon as they happen anywhere in the world. And that requires a global alert system. If there turns out to be some new infectious pathogen, then we need a group of infectious disease responders to spring into action. Think of these as like pandemic firefighters. They're going to use their logistics, use their ability to build up capacity quickly. They're going to go wherever that problem is. Stopping the next pandemic will require a big investment. But I think of this as the best insurance policy the world could buy. You can read more about this in our annual letter.
So family, before we tune out, just pay attention. Back in 2015, or was it 2014, he forewarned us about the pandemic coming. Now, in 2019, they had a global union, a meeting, event 201, I think it was called, right? And that was in like November or October. He predicted it in 2015. They had the test or the what is it called? The tabletop exercise in 2019, and by 2020 it was here. And now in 2020, he's already telling us about more vaccines and what we have to do to prevent. You think they'll listen to him this time? Now, I'm not saying anybody's behind this, but let's listen. 3 things, okay? The rich and the poor for our nations, our countries, right? Partnerships. And then he said, what was the third thing? Help me out. Come on, brain. Remember, he said the partnerships, the rich and the poor, equity. Look at where you live. Learn what you can. Look at what you eat. Rid your bodies of dis-ease so your body will be strong enough to sustain, to fight back against the next one. Just trust me. If he said it the last time and it came true, he said it just now. It's going to be here before we know it. Start getting your body ready. Ephesians 6:11. Look at your armor. Look at your word. Stay in your armor. Guard your 6, and I am out. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Live Today Health Talk, where we share the health message to make you more knowledgeable, to take care of your vessel. You only have one place to live. That's your body. Take care of it. Thank you for joining me.
Mentally, physically, spiritually.